One of the most common calculations you'll make is unit conversions. And there are different ways of measuring the same thing. And, and all you have to do is I can look at this ruler right here, and you can see that over here you've got centimeters, and down here you've got inches. So if I draw something, let's do this. Let's say that I draw a line, and I'll start it right here, and I'll go this far. And I'll say that line, you can see there, whoops. So I draw that line. You can see that line is 3 inches long. So if I have a length that's this long, we say, okay, it is 3 inches long. We measure it. And what we're doing is we're just comparing the length of something to a standard. We have this thing called the inch. And so the length of this, I'll just say L equals 3 inches. And IN is the abbreviation for inches. But I can also measure the length of it with a different unit of measure for length, and that's centimeters. And if I measure this, I get looks like 7.6. So the length is also equal to 7.6 centimeters. Okay? 7.6 centimeters. Now, this thing here, this length that I drew, it's the same thing. I'm just saying, well, if I use one scale, it's 3 inches. If I use another scale, it's 7.6 centimeters. So these things are the same. In other words, 3 inches is equal to 7.6 centimeters. Well, this is good. You can use that as what we're going to call a conversion factor. But it would be a little bit more convenient if we said, well, how much is 1 inch? So what we can do is just divide both sides by 3. So what is 3 inches divided by 3? It's 1 inch is equal to, well, let's see, what is 7.6? Let's turn my calculator on here. 7.6 divided by 3, and you get 2.53333. Now the actual answer is 2.54 exactly. In fact, the inch is defined to be 2.54 centimeters. This is a conversion factor between inches and centimeters. So what the kind of problems you're going to be asked to solve is like this. You'll say something is 25 inches in length. How long is that in centimeters? Well, if we take this and turn it into a fraction and say that 1 is equal, if I divide both sides by 1 inch, 1 is equal to 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. Now, if I take this and multiply it by 1, I don't change anything, right? Anytime you multiply something by 1, you're not changing what it is. So I can say, well, 25 inches, I'm going to put this and make it a fraction just because these unit conversion factors they always look like fractions. So you want to take what you're going to convert from and turn it into a fraction by just dividing it by 1. Is that okay? Can you divide by 1? Heck yeah. And so then you're going to multiply this by 1. But 1 is equal to 2.54 centimeters divided by 1 inch. So I'm not changing the length of the thing, I'm just changing the way I'm measuring the length of the thing. And so an inch divided by an inch is 1, so the inches cancel out. And then you have 25 divided by, 25 times 2.54 centimeters. And you get 63.5. Okay, now that's how you do a unit conversion. Now let's take a look. There's another thing though. Let's take a look at this. If I say, well, okay, 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters, well, I can divide both sides. Instead of dividing it by 1 inch, I can divide it by 2.54 centimeters. 2.54 centimeters. Well, this is just equal to 1. So I can say that 1 is equal to 1 inch divided by 2.54 centimeters, which is just the reciprocal of this, right? Remember what a reciprocal is? It's when you take the fraction and you just flip it upside down. Well, 1, what's the reciprocal of 1? It's just 1. So 1 inch divided by 2.54 centimeters is the same thing as 2.54 centimeters divided by 1. But when would I use this? I would use this when I want to go from centimeters to inches. So let's suppose I have, let's say somebody is 160 centimeters tall, and you want to know how tall are they in inches. Okay, well, here's what you do. Here's how you everybody pay attention right now. If you fade it out, fade right back in. Here's how you set it up to do a conversion factor. You want to change 160 centimeters to inches, put it over 1. What do I want to get rid of? I want to get rid of centimeters. So if this is on the top, you put centimeters on the bottom. What do I want to end up with? What do I want to convert it to? I want to convert it to inches. So now I know what to do. There are 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. And this tells me I have to divide by 2.54. Now the centimeters go away. Centimeter divided by centimeter is 1. 160 times 1 divided by 2.54. So 160 divided by 2.54. And you get 62.99. We'll round that off to 63.0 inches. So if somebody is 63 inches tall, they're also 160 centimeters tall. It's the same thing. Okay? Now, we have lots of different things that we measure in lots of different ways. This is a worksheet I'm going to hand out to you here in a second. And I know you can't read this from across the room, so maybe I'll zoom in. And you're going to get this, so you don't need to write this down. But look at all these unit abbreviations. HP, horsepower. Horsepower is a way of measuring power. What did we talk about? How did we measure power the other day when we did the power lab yesterday? We measured it in watts. So you can measure it in horsepower or you can measure it in watts. Now there's a conversion factor right here. 1 horsepower is equal to 746 watts. You know, when you hear about how much horsepower a car has, if something's really, really powerful, like the engine of a car, quite often it's measured in horsepower. But if you have a light bulb or some electrical piece of equipment, it's usually power is measured in watts. But you can convert between the two. 1 horsepower is 746 watts. Okay, and there are other units here. Like here, look, here's joules. J equals joule, a measure of energy. But calorie is also a measure of energy. And over here, a BTU, a British thermal unit, is a measure of energy. So we have lots of different ways of measuring energy. Here are some lengths, meters, inches, centimeters, feet, miles, and yards. So we're going to use all those. Now here are the conversion factors you're going to need today. 1 minute equals 60 seconds. Almost everybody knows that. 1 foot is 12 inches. A kilowatt. A kilowatt. Kilo is the metric system prefix for 1,000. So a kilowatt is 1,000 watts. 1 calorie, notice that's a lowercase calorie. This is like a chemistry calorie, is 4.2 joules. The food calorie that was on the candy bar, that we talked about, that's a food calorie. A food calorie is 1,000 calories, so you would have to multiply this by 1,000. But anyway, we're not going to use those. 1 day is 24 hours. 1 hour is 60 minutes. 1 yard is 3 feet. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to solve these conversion problems, unit conversion problems. 1 through 12 are relatively simple, but 13 through 24 are a little bit harder because you have to convert twice. And then these last 3 are kind of fun problems, and then this last one is kind of an extra credit problem. Well, let's do number 1. I'll show you how I want you to set these up. So in your notebook, I'm going to do these in your notebook. You put number 1. 100 yards equals blank feet. So you don't have to use given, find, and solve on these problems. Just put 100 yards, put the abbreviation for yards, put it over 1. Now, what are we trying to convert to? Feet. So you put the feet on the top. What are we trying to convert from? What do we want to cancel out? Yards. What's the conversion factor between feet and yards? Right here, 1 yard equals 3 feet. So you put 1 yard equals 3 feet. Now this is an easy one. If anybody plays football or watches football, you know that 100 yards is, well, a yard divided by a yard. The yard cancels. 100 times 3, that's 300 feet. And we're done. Okay. Now let's do number 13. Because 13 is a little bit, not much harder, but a little bit harder. These are multi-step conversions. I want to say, well, 4 yards equals how many inches? 4 yards is how many inches? Well, I don't know how many yards are in inches. Well, maybe you do. But I want you to use these conversion factors up here. But I do know that 1 foot is 12 inches, and I know that 1 yard is 3 feet. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say that 1 yard is 3 feet. So now the yards have been canceled out, and 4 times 3 is 12 feet. And then I know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. And notice here that the feet cancel out, and you're left with inches. It's the only thing that didn't get canceled out. So what do I do now? I multiply everything that's on the top and divide by everything that's on the bottom. 4 times 3 times 12. Well, 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 12 is, I think, 144. So the answer is 144 inches. So 4 yards is 144 inches. Okay. Now these other ones I'll leave to you to do. And I'm going to pass this out now, and I'm going to want you to get this done. Okay, that is all.